got a pretty big oopsie doopsie. I mean, I think, Dylan, I've talked about Dylan before. I've talked about Dylan Mulvaney before and how, I don't believe in, kind of piling on Dylan Mulvaney. They've got their own issues. They took a job, they got hired to do a job, they took that job, they did that job. And so what? Really, if it weren't Dylan, it would be someone else. And, ultimately, now, after fleeing the country to feel safe, even like these woke news outlets are making, they're just kind of revealing that it's all for show. It's all for show. It's all just sad, and it's just I don't really understand why we have to continue to go down this road. Why we have to continue to pretend all this nonsense is true, and ultimately that's exactly what's happening. And you see today now, CNN getting in some hot water. CNN misgenders Dylan Mulvaney. The left is very angry. Tuesday night, CNN alienated the very viewers it sought to impress when it called Dylan Mulvaney a man. Correspondent Ryan Young referred to Mulvaney as he in a segment during the discussing the backlash against Bud Light for teaming up with a trans influencer. He is, of course, the trans person they were going to sponsor and go along with, but trans activists didn't like how Bud Light didn't stand by him after all of this. The segment drew the ire of frequent CNN allies like the Stooges at Media Matters. A sponge named Ari Drennan called the moment unbelievably bad. Gosh damn. So it takes the Lord's name in vain. That sucked, said another guy at Media Matters. What horrible coverage. And that pundit couldn't even correct the misgendering of Dylan. That makes me sad. CNN is about to get called to the principal's office. A person should not have to participate in the farce that's become woman face, the appropriation of gender. The movement is inherently consequential to the physical and mental well-beings of the participants, and calling a trans person by the pronouns they demand enables the movement. Thereby, the only winning move is to not play. That said, it seems that Young called Mulvaney by accident. He pictured Mulvaney as a man, which he is, and instinctively used the word he and him. So don't be surprised if Young and CNN apologize. Well, what's going to be interesting about this is I'm going to look up Ryan Young, CNN. I wonder if he's already been forced to apologize. I have a feeling that it's happening. Let's see. Nope. He has not said anything yet. This guy's on CNN. He only has 10,000 Twitter followers. I think that this individual probably just doesn't play that game. I'm not surprised. It'll be interesting to see, what happens if he's forced to, expose them. CNN national correspondent Ryan Young misgenders Dylan Mulvaney live on the air. The anchors didn't even correct him. Tragic. I mean, what? But no, CNN calls Dylan Mulvaney he, and now there's the Daily Beast writes an article. Good Lord. Good Lord. Who cares? A lot of that, no kidding. They correctly gendered him. They wrote a whole, look how long this article is. On CNN News Central, anchor Kate Bolden began by noting that the beer giant sales fell 28% over the last month. The finding indicates a relatively lengthy period of lackluster sales, as data showing the company was taking a financial hit was released back in April when the right-wingers decided to make Mulvaney marketing Bud Light a controversial issue. Well, I don't think it was just right-wingers. The left-wing media really wanted to be a right-wing issue, but it was, in my opinion, far more of like just a regular everyday guy, Joe, Jane issue. That they were just, people were not happy with it. It's quite simple. People just don't want it shoved down their throat, said one man critical of the marketing campaign. A woman chimed in along the same lines. No Bud Light because it's like, I have grandchildren. We don't need to put that in the young kids' heads. A third person told Young how he was in a bar when another patron said he was done drinking Bud Light, and everyone else in the bar kind of rolled their eyes at him, he recalled. Young went on to give an example of how Bud Light also received negative attention from pro-LGBTQ side who distanced themselves from Mulvaney, after distancing himself from Mulvaney. Young then explained who Mulvaney is, but used incorrect pronouns. In a separate segment on Tuesday, Young said that a visit to Kid Rock's namesake Nashville bar showed that despite the musician angrily blasting cans of Bud Light and campaigning for a boycott, the product was still available for purchase. I mean, I think that, and then here's a CNN article, or the New York Post, CNN under fire. Unbelievable. This is news? This is what CNN is now, like, this is a national tragedy. We're funneling trillions of fake dollars to Ukraine, bearing this country's children in debt forever, but we're worried about misgendering. I mean, are you kidding me? What horrible coverage. And the pundit couldn't even correct them. What? Now, CNN eventually apologized. Now they've apologized at the end of Wednesday's episode of News Central, referring to Mulvaney. Boldon said she was mistakenly referred to by the wrong pronoun, and CNN aims to honor individuals' ways of identifying themselves, and we apologize for this error. They actually apologized for this heinous crime, for the heinous crime of calling a biological man a man. And like, what's great is I'm sure if I look up the Craig Harrington, okay, if I look him up on Twitter, I'm going to guess that he got completely dragged. Now, let's see. Let's just take a look. Oh, he's terminally on Twitter, tweeting every hour, so I suppose it'll be hard to find it. Let's see. Here he is seething about Andrew Tate. Oh, maybe not. Maybe he didn't tweet it. Maybe put it somewhere else. I don't know. I assume this was. Yeah, I don't know. This is a life of immense privilege. If this is what you're going to be mad about, misgendering. It's wild to me that people even give a crap about this stuff. It's wild to me that it spawned dozens of articles. It's wild to me that misgendering is even a thing people care about. But we do, of course, live in the clown world. We know that we live in the clown world because these articles exist, and that companies like Media Matters, by the way, like legitimately are bully organizations, in my opinion. They had, remember when Media Matters came out and said, oh, Pepe the Frog is an alt-right hate symbol, and you've got to stop using it because it's super evil and only evil people use it. Like, get out of here with that stuff. I don't even understand why they would think for a second that anyone takes them seriously. You know what I mean? Like, it's hilarious to me that this stuff is still like dominating the news cycle. It's embarrassing. But that is, again, life in the clown world.